What's going on, YouTube? If you spent any amount of time in this hobby, I'm sure you're probably fully aware of some of the big scale RCs that a lot of big YouTubers have that offer some pretty big headlines, like big performance, big size, but at a pretty big price. But what if I told you there was another option? A big RC with a lot of the same big headlines, but on a Busch Light budget. I'm talking, of course, about the Red Cat Shredder. Talk about my Red Cat Shredder and why I own one of these instead of an X-Max or a Kraton 8S. So every time I post a picture of one of these on Instagram or bring it out to the park, I get a lot of questions about it. So I figured I'd make a comprehensive review and answer a lot of questions that I get about this thing and kind of give you an overall idea of what this thing's about. Well, probably not. Every RC is gonna break. Every RC has its weak spots, but I'm not really kind to this one, and I know that Joe from OMG RC has one of these, and he abuses his. He takes that thing to the skate park, full send all the time, and he loves his. I've had this thing for a few years now, and the only issues that I've had with it are because I put these big gigungous wheels on it. These are the Duratrax Hatchet MTs, awesome wheels and tires, but the center diff doesn't really like all the extra weight. The front steering servo, this is a lot of meat for the stock steering servo to handle. But I've upgraded it with a really cheap one for about 20 bucks, and so far so good. So I had to replace the diff and built it up to be a little bit extra beefy, and since I've done that, a-okay. So will it break all the time? Probably not. I'll tell you what, let's find out. Alright guys, I hope you can see, but I got my Sky RC GPS on here. We're just looking for some satellites and speed, peak speed. I'm running this on the stock radio that this comes with today, 4S. Now I know that you can gear these up and convert them into 6S and do all kinds of stuff, but let's get an idea of how fast this thing is right out of the box. Like I said, the only modification to this is just a little bit of a modified center diff, bigger wheels and tires, a better servo, and that's it. There, I think we had her maxed out for some time there. All right, let's see what we got. What'd you think, Lily? Was that fast? $35. So on asphalt, we can definitely get it a little bit faster than that. This is pretty bumpy ground and it's somewhat tall grass, but 35 on 4S on a 6 scale, not too shabby. Well, if we take a look under the hood, you can see that for being a 6 scale, everything in here is still pretty regular sized. I mean, it's got a Hobbywing SC8 ESC. It's got a 1300 kV motor. It's got a regular size steering servo, and everything is, you know, easy to get to. You don't have to take apart a bunch of stuff to get to the main components. Taking a look at the other side, I mean, you know, you got a couple batteries, you got a receiver, you got a ESC, you got a motor, you got a center diff. Easy. Now surely Red Cat wouldn't have given such a violent name to a vehicle that wasn't capable of shredding everything in its path. I mean, after all, it's not the Red Cat Dandelion, or Butterfly, or Snuggles. So to find out, I've got some legal documentation that needs some shredding. So I don't know how this is gonna work. I'm gonna try and give her the beans and hold this at the same time. Oh, this has got bad news written all over it. Let's see here. Oh, Jesus! Jesus! Is it a good shredder? Yeah. I know, I was just kidding. You wanna know if it's a good shredder? You tell me.
So you dancing like heavy smoke. Have you fixed that treasured heart that's so broke? Here is a tape for me, give this a meaning. Do you wanna feel the rush when somebody is listening? Heaven is getting closer to the earth, and someday I'll set you free, I promise. There's no time to lose, the world is closing in, and we're still here. Do you wanna feel alive? We are the ones who wants to ride, feeling like a dream. Who we be crying for tonight? We lost but never found. Fear is not around. We can turn this world around.
Well, if we take a look at the spec sheet, we'll see that it has the same wheelbase as the X-Max, but it's overall a little bit shorter and definitely smaller, not as tall as the X-Max, and just a little bit smaller than the Arrma Kraton. But here it is next to a Busch Light, you know, for its scale, not because I'm drinking Busch Light or anything. First of all, you should buy what makes you happy. If you can afford an 8S Kraton or an X-Max, those are sweet. There's nothing wrong with those at all. This is more, you know, if you're interested in this one specifically. Or what would make you want to buy a shredder over an X-Max or a Kraton 8S? The price, duh. So the X-Max starts at $899.95. And the 8S Kraton, that's even more expensive by a 4 whole pennies at $899.99. Then you're gonna need some batteries. Now, batteries for the X-Max are $100. That's just no other way to say it. They're $100 and you're gonna need 2. Then you're gonna need that special proprietary Traxxas charger to charge them up, and those start at $49, 50 bucks, and that's assuming you only wanna charge one at a time. Now the Kraton 8S, those batteries are even more expensive. Those start at $109 a piece. And if you think that you can get one of those smart chargers for cheap, no, really, they're outrageous. They're cool, but my goodness, they are outrageous. This is brand new technology and you're paying for it. Meanwhile, the shredder, it's 360 bucks, less than half the price. And I can hear it now. Yeah, but the Kraton 8S and the X-Max, those are both 8S. The shredder is only 4S. Yeah, so what does that mean? I'll tell you what, that means the batteries are a heck of a lot less expensive. The batteries that I have in the shredder right now are 6200 milliamp ADC discharge, and they cost me $17 on Amazon a piece. So $34 for 2 batteries. I charged both of those at the same time on my LiPo charger. That was, I think, like less than 50 bucks. So for less than the price of 1 battery for an X-Max or a Kraton, I've got 2 batteries and a charger that'll charge both batteries at the same time. And it's also worth being said that the Traxxas Max, the 10th scale 4S monster truck, that's like $450, I think. And we already saw what the speed was of the shredder. 35 mile an hour over pretty bumpy terrain. Is the X-Max and Creighton more than twice as fast? 70 mile an hour? No, they're not. I think the X-Max claims 50 mile an hour. And you got to imagine that's going to be best case scenario. You know, that's probably going to be over flat asphalt. And with the money that you're saving, you could do a lot of upgrades to this thing. All right, so I don't have a ramp big enough to really test this, but I'm thinking if I get down here and jump the shredder off of that, I should be able to clear myself. I've got a GoPro set up down here to catch multiple angles because super professional. And it should be pretty straightforward, but I'm not going to be able to actually see the truck when I hit the throttle and launch it. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little nervous, but let's do it. Okay. All right, go. Okay, all right. Here we go. Oh, Jesus! Whew. And we live to die another day. Should we do it again? Except maybe this time in slow motion. Even slower. Well, maybe. I mean, if you're like me and you always wanted something pretty large scale but didn't want to spend or don't have over $1,000 to spend on one, this is a pretty good alternative. In a lot of ways, no. I mean, this isn't really, this doesn't have the technology that those have. Parts availability is a little bit harder, you know, but in some ways, yeah, mainly price, and customer service, and you know, the aftermarket for this isn't as good. So in some ways, yes. In a lot of ways, no, not really. I mean, if you think about the X-Max and the Creighton as Lamborghini and Ferrari, this is definitely an Audi R8. And any gearhead worth his weight in motor oil definitely doesn't turn his nose up to one of those. So, yeah. No, of course not. These are toys, and expensive toys at that. No one needs this. These serve no purpose other than to just be fun and bring us some joy and laughter. Oh yeah, and some. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for this one. What do you think? Let me know down in the comments. Am I right, or am I a complete fool and I never should have wasted my hard-earned money on a Red Cat shredder? What do you think? Now, if you think that I've made some good points and I'm not a complete moron and you want to get your own shredder, I'm going to put a link down in the description. Now, just so you know, that's not an affiliate link. I'm not sponsored. I've got less than 200 subs here, so I'm not making any money by selling this thing. But if you are interested and you do want to get one of these things, which I highly recommend, check it out. Buy yours at omgrc.com. If you've got any questions about anything, Joe, my man over there, he's got you covered. And if this is your first time checking out the channel, welcome. I'm glad you found it. I like to do RC shenanigans like this all the time, and I've got some cool stuff coming up, so make sure you stick around. All right, until next time, peace.
Forever.